Welcome to the New England Take. I'm your host, AJ Kierstead. Thank you to WKXL for picking up the show every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. GraniteGrock.com, picking up the show Saturday evenings. Please give a follow to them. And NewEnglandTake.com, we have a Substack if you want to follow the show via email or on that platform, in addition to YouTube. Been playing around a lot more with YouTube Shorts, so some news stuff, some just wandering around New England stuff over there if you want to give a follow. All right, so I'm excited today to be joined by David Jones. He is a Republican running for the governor of Maine. So excited to go over to the northeast of the border from our state here of New Hampshire. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, AJ. I think it's great. Glad to be here, and let's see what we got. Let's talk about some stuff. What's happening here in the great state of Maine?
That's right, and I'm a native of Maine. I grew up over in China, so I have.
I know China. Sure.
Yeah, I have vested interest in the state. My extended family's all up there, so I would love to see some political shifting occur. Put it that way.
How about huge tectonic plates changing this world and making it a better place again? I mean, what's happened in the past 7.5 years is just unfathomable. So I'm with you on that. That's why I'm running.
So let's start off with you. What's your background? I know you got a business background, real estate, things of that nature. What led you to this point where you're considering running, or where you are running now for the Republican ticket?
I've been self-employed since I was 17 years old. So I started my own company. Never really had jobs, a job. Never interviewed for a job except for this one now. I was in the construction business. Is what I did. I started building single-family homes, and then multi-units, and then mid-rises, high-rises, shopping centers. And I built, a very large company up from scratch to about 1,100 people, and we're, really building a lot of, big, high-profile projects. If you've been to Disney World in Florida, I built the Disney Caribbean Beach Resort. That was 2,133 units. I did that in the 80s. And so, I mean, it was great. Here's a guy that had nothing, lived the American dream. I mean, I did. I am. The idea that I'm running for governor now is fantastic. It's puzzling, but it proves that the American dream is absolutely alive. All right. And if you make up your mind you want to do something, you can. So I've set my mind on my goals. I've been married now 40 years to my wife, Nancy. I got 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls. I got 8 grandchildren. 4 boys, 4 girls, so we're fair and balanced. We've got that going on in our family. And, and I own a company here in Maine called F.O. Bailey Real Estate, which is Maine's oldest continuous running company. It's been around since 1819. I'm the 4th owner in 200 years. It doesn't change hands. It's a company that's closely held, and it's an honor to be the 4th owner in the country. There's only, I think, 72 other companies in the entire United States that are 200 years or older. I received a presidential letter from President Trump in 2016 when we turned 200 years old, and Susan Collins read it into the record, a congressional record as well. So, it's a real company, and it's a great company with, we love and respect the people of the state of Maine, and, being involved in real estate, it's people's usually their single largest investment in their life, and I've helped a lot of people buy their first-time homes. I help investors buy, commercial properties. So we work with a whole wide gamut. I'm all over the state and been involved in politics now for 20 years. I've never held office, ever. And my best credential. I think in order to be a chief executive officer, I mean, you've got to really understand what has to be done. You got to know what it's like to sign the front of the check. You got to understand you're dealing with taxpayer dollars. You got a responsibility there, and you're supposed to do the things that they want. We're supposed to have a representative form of government, and I don't think we do right now. Too many of the things that they've done are contrary to my beliefs and most of the people that I've ever had discussions with about it. So we're looking for a change. We want a big sea change. We want to make Maine great again in the way life should be, and that's what the goal is. Make it a place where kids don't leave, businesses can succeed, taxes are lower, if not altogether gone. I just don't like paying taxes. I don't know anybody that does. If you're getting something in return is one thing, but if you're not, which seems to be the case here, then you know, a little bit disgruntled about writing that check.
Oh yeah,
A
definitely.
little bit about
And
Dave.
and something that's very important that I'm interested to get your what you think your political philosophy will be in this position is you're going to be dealing with many stakeholders, many people that disagree with you politically, especially when you're looking at the southern part of the state. Some of the representatives from down there, they have very different political philosophy and dealing with all the state agencies and things like that. Being as the CEO of the executive branch of the state government, what's your philosophy on working with these stakeholders that are coming from different directions and maybe have different motivations?
Good idea is a good idea, and a bad idea is a bad idea. I don't care whether it comes from Republican, Democrat, on the roll. It doesn't matter to me. You know, if it's a good idea, I'm going to say, yeah, it's a good idea. If it's a bad idea, I'm going to tell you it's a bad idea. I don't agree with it, and then we take it from there and see what we can do to make it a good idea. And if it doesn't represent what's most beneficial for the people of the state of Maine, then it's not going to happen. Period. You know, I don't care who it is. If a Republican brings me a bad idea, I'm going to say it's a bad idea. And so, you know, you got to look at what's good for, you know, for the many. And, you know, I've in my life as in the construction business, you know, and in the real estate business, you do things, large projects, you do deals that, you know, you want both sides to smile at the closing table, you know, and just so it has to be, you know, it has to be good for the many, not for the few.
So
So I
big
don't care where they're from, really, honestly. What affiliation? I don't care. You know, you just bring me good ideas. I'll listen.
as someone who's on the same side of the aisle as you politically, for the most part, that's in theory, I would love a tremendous change to what's going on with Maine politics. That starts going in the direction as we call it the free state of New Hampshire. We love calling
Yeah,
it that.
right.
We
Free
always
State
brag about
Project
that.
down there. Eric
Yep.
Brake. I don't know if you know Eric, but you know he's working for the Free State Project down there.
Yep. So,
And
I mean, what will it take, do you think, in Maine to start making that shift? Does it have to come from having someone in the governor's seat to really start making? I mean, LePage had all sorts of different policies that many people on the right agreed with, but he came at it from a, we'll call it aggressive point of view. It didn't necessarily play
yeah.
nice in the pool. How will you address it to make sure we're not going to have a shift back if you do win this race?
Well, you get it codified to law, right? We got to have the House and the Senate. I tell people all the time, if we have to make a choice between donating to David Jones or your House or Senate candidate, give it the House or Senate candidate so we can have control of them. So we end up with another Shenabellos or Attorney Fry with these ideologues or you know, people that just really shouldn't be in office in powerful positions. So we got to get the House, we got to get the Senate, and we got to get the governorship. And you know, like if well, I'm lucky enough to get that trifecta, I'm not going to let it go to waste. And I believe you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. You know, I'm fair, and I always have been. I have an open door policy. I always have, and no matter where I sit, no matter where I work, no matter what I'm doing, you know, my door's open, my phone is on, people call me. So I want to establish that rapport with people, and you know, I'm not going to waste the time. If we get the trifecta, it's going to we're going to make it law, all right? And we're going to bring Republicans together. You know, and I know sometimes that's a you know a difficult task to do in itself, which is what happened with Paul LePage. I mean, there was same you know a lot of in-house bickering, and we just got to put that stuff aside. And you know, those 7 out of 10 issues that we all agree on, well, let's get them done. Let's make them law. Let's say this is real. Okay, and then we'll argue about the other three. But let's get the things done that really are going to benefit the people of the state of Maine. And I think you bring people together. That's all.
So
Both sides.
looking, that's the way you got to do it. I mean, that's the big issue we love nowadays to complain about what the federal government's up to with the polarization, everything like that. We gotta normalize people talking again. It's all about relationships when it comes to politics and getting anything done, especially at the state level. It's New Hampshire's off the rails. We have our own thing where we can't throw a rock without hitting a state rep somewhere around
Sure,
anywhere in
yeah,
the state,
yeah.
wherever you are. In Maine, it's a bit
How
smaller.
many do you
So
have? It's like 400 or
yeah,
something.
400 and
Yeah.
something. Yeah, it's off the rails.
430 or something. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 435. So, yeah, I mean, you look at that, and that's And you consider you have the same population we do, right? 1.4 mil, roughly 1.3 million. We have 150 something, 153 or something in our house. So like um, too much government. I I think that we just got to simplify things and make it so people understand government. Look, you got a whole generation of kids that are growing up today. They don't even know what three branches of government are. They haven't been taught the United States Constitution. They don't even know that Maine has its own constitution, right? And they've been taught to not respect the rule of law. So you've got some obstacles to overcome, and I know it's not going to be an easy job, but like I've never liked having things easy. I don't mind a good fight, but I am smart enough to, navigate through the waters. And look, you don't burn bridges. You never know where that road's going to take you. That bridge you might need that bridge someday. So I've been very cautious about upsetting people and that I know, and I say what I say. I mean what I say, and if you like that, fine, you'll like me. And if you don't, well, I get it. I can't be all things to all people, but I'll do my best to make sure that I do what benefits the majority.
So let's stay on education a little bit. It was your
Hmm,
issues page on your website's fantastic. I will say, because if anyone
thank you.
wants to take a look, it actually lists bill numbers and things of that nature instead of
Yeah.
just a theoretical. Well, I kind of like I like people and peace and happiness. And it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
no, we gotta get
yes.
down to some policy here, man. So I mean, what are let's talk about, you have on here empowering families with education savings accounts. As someone who's talked extensively in New Hampshire about education freedom accounts, which are our program here in New Hampshire, it looks like very similar sort of program you're hoping to implement up in Maine.
Well, I want people to be invested in their education, right? I mean, honestly, and it seems to me like parental rights have been taken away, involvement by the parents, or just not there. Like I said, I had six kids, right? They all went through the public school system. Every one of them. They turned out okay because they had a good dinner table to sit down to at night. There's a lot of kids that don't. And so when you got people teaching your kids things that you wouldn't approve of, then that's only happens because the parents are involved. So parental rights are extremely important to me. The idea that everybody has to go to college, I'm not a big, I didn't go to college, so I'm not going to sit here and say let's save all this money and let's go to everybody has to go to college. Guess what? I didn't go to college. I've done pretty darn good in life because I work with my hands and my brain and my heart. And I think we have to teach kids, vocational training. We need plumbers, electricians, or auto mechanics, carpenters, laborers. We need people from all walks of life. So we just have to be of the understanding that it's not a one size fits all education. Each person learns differently. I'm a visual learner. I think I'm that last guy to read the instructions. Right? It's just always been, my wife or my daughter will say, "Hey, Dad, you're going to read the instructions." No, no, you got this, right? But I enjoy that part of it. So we have to respect the individual's abilities. And education here in Maine is just going to hell in a handbasket. How fourth grade readers are reading of like a 40, we're ranked 49th in the country. Think about that, right? They get out of school, they can't balance a checkbook. They don't know how to change a tire in a car. They wouldn't know how to swing a hammer if the life depended on them. Right? You've got, so you got to really, education is it's huge. It's like it's our whole society. First of all, they got to be taught civics. They got to understand how our country works, and we civics in our country. I know in our state it's just not been taught. I've talked to a lot of kids that are homeschooled. The parents are smart enough to teach them that there are three branches of government. That this is how it should be done, and then you get kids that go all the way through high school and they have not a clue. And you think why? What's wrong with our United States Constitution? What's wrong with the Maine Constitution? What's wrong with understanding what your rights are, all right, as an individual here in the United States of America? So we've got to overcome that bridge. We got to stop teaching these kids stuff that doesn't matter. All right? I mean, like, I've been a big advocate for no boys and girls sports. I was with Riley Gaines a few weeks ago, and I had met her before out in Milwaukee at the convention. And there's a girl that stood up for her rights and said, "Oh, enough. Boys do not. belong in girls' sports. I don't want my daughter. I would have not allowed my daughters to have a naked boy in their locker room in school. I'd have been one of those parents you see on the news report, right? But today I have grandkids, and they're already being taught different kinds of love. Reading them books. A boy who wears girls' dresses. I mean, what place does that have in a 5-year-old's life? Shouldn't they just be letting them be children? Shouldn't they be, I have a 5-year-old grandson. He reads already. He reads. His big thing is he loves Greek mythology and Egyptian history. I mean, I'm thinking, really? That's EJ. I told you about the acronym I have for my grandson. Brilliant young kid. And all of them, they all have this level of thinking because we're engaging with our young people. We're helping them grow. We're not treating them like they're not on our level. Let me tell you, young people learn fast, right? They learn fast, and they're like sponges. And if you put bad things in their head, you end up with a culture like we have today. If you put good things in their head, like I've done historically with my kids, and what the schools have not been doing. I'm sorry. You got to have kids. You got to. I say this: when I grew up, kids were told they should be seen and not heard. Have you heard that before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I say this, and I say it publicly as much as I can, that not only should they be seen, but they absolutely have to be heard. All right. The stuff that comes out of their mouth is so brilliant. I wouldn't be running for governor if it wasn't for my two grandkids. We had an instance. I was not planning on running. I thought about it. I said, "Nah, I'm definitely not going to do this. No, no, no." Because it's a huge sacrifice when you run for office. I don't know if you have you ever held office.
No.
Well, I mean, you're 24/7, 365,
Yeah.
and on a local campaign is one thing, but on a statewide campaign, it's massive, right? And so we were watching David and Goliath, the King David series on Netflix, and it's a scene where Goliath was going to fight with David, right? And Elliot's like, Papa, he's a giant. He's going to tear him apart. He's going to just rip him apart. And I go, no, he's not. He's going to win. He says, no, look how big he is. And I said, no, he's going to win. He says, how do you know? I said, it's in the Bible. And he goes, huh? This kid loves to get a verse of the Bible, self-prompted, by the way. He's asked his father to read him a verse of the Bible at night, right? And so the Goliath throws one spear and then misses another spear, misses. I don't know if you saw the show, but then the third one he kind of catches him and then he falls to the ground. He says, "Look, Papa, I told you he's going to kill him." My guy says, "Don't worry, he's going to win." He says, "He's only got a rock." I said, "He's going to win." And David runs up and he blocks the guy, takes him out, grabs the sword, chops his head off, and does a victory dance. And Elliot's like, looking at it, wow, how did Papa know this, right? And then Mary, who was quiet the entire time, she turned around and she looked at me and she said, Papa, why are there bad guys in the world? And I said, honey, there's always going to be bad guys. She says, why do you want to fight the bad guys? And in my office, there's a picture up right. If you look behind me, it's a Braveheart. I don't know if you can see it. And she thinks that's me because I wore a kilt one time. Right. And I said, so why do you think I want to fight the bad guys, honey? She goes and looked at me. You've seen The Grinch Who Stole Christmas and Cindy Lou Who, right? And she looked at me with those eyes and said, to make it a better place for me and all your other grandchildren. I'm like, oh, all right. I got to do it. And that was the day I decided to run. It was the moment that I said, if I can be that guy that can make it better for that generation and do what I can to make it a better place for people here in the state of Maine, then I should do it. And if I win, great. I will do everything I can to make it a better place. So that's education's key. And so, not to get off too far on a tangent, but you wonder why people are running for office and what their motivations are, and I ask people that there's a bunch of people in our race this time. I don't know if you following it. There's like 8 or 9 of them in right now. But I seem to be, the top dog kind of guy that people are, eyeballing all the time and wondering how they can beat. But the, in this race, it's going to be competitive, and we're going to have to make a lot of choices. And whoever goes there, they've got to have the, that fire in their belly, the fortitude, that fight. And if you don't have that, don't bother, right? If you're going to go there and be a politician, like, yeah, see you later. We don't need a politician. We need a businessman, an outsider, a guy that's really going there for, to make things right, and with no ulterior motives. I'm not looking to stair step this into anything. I'll do my 4, maybe 8 years of being governor. And when I'm done, I go off into the happy hunting grounds and, and live my life with my grandkids for the rest of my life.
That's
So,
awesome. Yeah, I want to dive into housing a bit. With your background in
sure.
real estate and things of that nature, it's tremendously important. All three of the northern New England states have been dealing with so many issues when it comes to housing availability, the ability to actually have more housing built, having the marketplace be
Yeah.
healthy as opposed to the nightmare it has been, especially since COVID. What's your vision for starting to get the Maine real estate market going in the right place, especially for families, because that is key to the future of the state.
Right. Well, hey, look, housing's everything. And, you look at right now, I'm in the real estate business. All right, so this is what you're talking, my wheelhouse. I've built tens of thousands of homes in my life. And it's not an exaggeration. I told you one project was 2,133 units. That's just one of many. So, when you build on that scale, you see everything that can be done if you have a cooperating government. So the regulations are the biggest obstacle. Well, energy costs and regulations, and then you got to look at the skilled labor. These young kids they're not coming into the trades today, and so you look at your carpenters, how old they are. 40, 50 years old, 60 years old, still banging nails. I mean, and thank God if I ever had to, I could still do it. But the bottom line is that people are being forced not to retire because they're getting paid really good money relative to what they started when we started at my age, banging nails. So you've got to get the regulations out of the way. You got to make sure that government is not an obstacle, that it's a cooperating partner in everything that's done. If we're not a business friendly state, if we're not saying, hey, look, we want to put our arms around you, we want to help you, we want to get the hell out of your way, then there's a problem. So we need to really think about eliminating. I think there's over 100,000 different regulations here in the state of Maine. The numbers I've been told 100, 110, 134,000. It's a lot of regulations, right? For me, I own some land and I think about building. And every time I turn around, I got to go to the town government, hat in hand, and say, "Oh, please, Mister Town Planner, Code Enforcement guy, can I build on my property?" Like, oh well, we want this land for that and that land for that, and if you give us that, then we'll let you do what you want. Now, that's not the way it's supposed to be. You got to have uniform building codes. You can't have all these different pockets with their own little obstructive laws that get out in the way, devaluing the land, trying to push you into conservation. It's just, nobody who owns land wants to do bad things with it. But the whole purpose in owning property is to have an investment. I mean, bottom line, whether it's buying a single family house or buying a tract of land with the idea you want to put 10 or 15 or 20 or 100 houses, want to have, regardless, depending on size. That's the idea. That's what America is all about. And it's gotten to the point where these regulations have gotten in the way. And, you look, I don't know, the energy costs in New Hampshire compared to ours have gone up 36%. All right, electric bills, 36% in the past 12 months. That's insane. Now,
It is.
why is it that our neighboring state, New Hampshire, is a fraction of us, and we are where we are? In the past 7.5 years since Janet Mills has been governor, our electric bills have gone up 115%.
Wow.
115%. Now, I own, a few different properties, but say I was paying 20,000 a year. I'm paying 40,000 a year now. Is that the way it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Now, what business is going to come and invest into our state if they got energy costs like that.
Especially high tech. I mean, they need extensive ability. I'm not
Not
even saying
happening.
data centers, like just in general, the ability to be running just small technology firms.
Mm. Well, that's the latest buzzword, data centers, data
Yeah,
centers.
exactly.
Everybody wants data centers, right? All right, but guess what? We don't have enough energy to power what we have. Our grid is failing, right? We haven't embraced nuclear. I'm all for small modular nuclear
Yeah.
reactors. We have to have them, right? Connecticut's going for it. So many other states are going for it. We've been using nuclear reactors in submarines for 40, 50, 60 years. No incidents whatsoever.
No,
That
Mainers have to fill up every available field with a zillion solar panels that just every time I drive through Augusta, my brain just melts looking at what they've done
It's
with their solar
horrible.
builds.
Now, now they would not allow the thing about this. They wouldn't allow billboards advertising for all the businesses along the highway because they wanted the trees. Think of it, right? And if you said you wanted billboards, they thought you were the Antichrist. Now they cut down all the darn trees and they made solar fields and miles. I mean, like everywhere you turn, such a scenic view. Right? And then on top of it, they subsidize it with our electric bill. It's a solar tax. They call it net energy billing. That was the Democrat way of sticking it in and taking it. All right, here, we're going to take a little bit more of your money with your net energy billing. It sounds good. It's a tax. It's a solar tax. Windmills. I mean, another thing, blowing the tops of mountains off. Right? When I was your age, people were going ahead and tying themselves to trees, right? So they couldn't cut them down. Now they just blow them off the top. Now they take the next level. They're blowing it off the tops of the mountains and putting these ugly windmills on top that, without subsidies, they don't make any money. So we're not benefiting from this view pollution. The idea that the solar panels are made of what they're made. They'll have disposal taken care of. There's a lot of problems, and so this is just leadership. And we start off the conversation with like, can you make a difference? Well, if the person at the top wants to make a difference, you can. Right? That's the first step. So you got to elect someone who wants to make a difference and wants to go in a direction that's beneficial to more than few. And so, with me as governor, I'm telling you, things would change around here. It'd be a whole different Maine. And I pride myself all my life in being able to do the things that people told me I can't do. Tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do it just to tick you off. All right. And but I know the direction. I have that fire and that tenacity. I've been told, very tenacious as a little kid, right? And that has never stopped. And I just want to see Maine a better place. I've been here now almost 30 years as a full-time resident, 40 years as a part-time resident, and I'm telling you, it's changed. Past 7.5 years have been since COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened during COVID? I mean, they just changed the whole culture. People walk around with masks on that don't work, locking themselves in the house, getting shots, and whether I didn't get vaccinated. I refused to get vaccinated. I didn't die. I got COVID. Huh? Look at that. I'm still here talking to you. My family didn't get vaccinated. I've told them, please, let's just wait this thing out. So, and I'd say the majority of them got COVID, but so what? And it went away. Right? It was a yeah,
We all lived. We
it
all
was a
lived.
big
We
scare.
should
It
be
was a big
recovered by
scare.
now.
Huh?
We should be recovered by now. That's the most painful part of what we've seen the last few years with the way the government's been running, especially in the left. Those states that have Democrat control is just refusing to let the people flourish.
Well, your Free State Project. I mean,
Yep.
vaccinations are a big topic of that. I mean, I know that for a fact because my son John Logan is really good friends with Eric Brakey. Eric keeps trying to talk my son into moving to New Hampshire. I've known Eric for now and ever, and I'm like, hey, put the brakes on this.
It only
we're gonna
takes
make
so
it a better
many.
place. All right,
That's right.
we
All
can
right.
do it. They can do it there. We can do it here. right?
That's right. All right, we're about out of time.
Oh.
David Jones, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. The primary is going to be in June of 2026. I wish you the
Right.
best of luck in your campaign.
Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Listen, this is, you can call me anytime, 207-650-3455. That's my cell phone number. I give it out. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we have a website. It's Jones, Jones, 2026.com. You can find out everything there is to know about David. Like you said, we have good information there. We spell out what I would do, what I wouldn't do. Our platform will be published in the next couple of weeks. It's really going to be good. I was on the National Republican Platform Committee. I was selected by President Trump to be on that in Milwaukee in 2024. So a lot of common sense approach to life. I want to see the same thing here in Maine.
Fantastic. Jones2026.com to check out his site. Big thank you for joining me today. It's been an awesome conversation. It's been the New England Take. I'm your host, AJ Kierstead. WKXL, thanks for picking up the show. Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. Be sure to stay tuned for Facing the Future, brought to you by the Concord Coalition next over there. Big thank you to thegranitegrok.com, and we'll talk to you soon.